what I don't like about Ethereum. Ooh, sound is loud. Okay. This is ultimate trolling from Joseph de Tychey, because he also put the title of the presentation with Ethereum Foundation, and I'm not related to the Ethereum Foundation, so don't take this as a disclaimer from the foundation. Like I'm not from the foundation at all. So who's I? You can find me on social media here, J. de Tychey. I use the same name everywhere, so if you want to reach out, get in touch, like please do. And I do host HeatCC, and I hope to see you all at HeatCC Cannes this late June, early July. It's really going to be a bash, as it is every year. So where does this beautiful title come from? We had a tradition at HeatCC back in 2018 where the first real edition of HeatCC, because before that we did ETH Paris and ETHCon in Paris back then, in 2017, we had a very nice speaker called Rick Dudley that you see here. He couldn't come at ETH Prague this year, unfortunately, but he accepted to talk at the first HeatCC and do the opening talk. He was deeply involved in the construction of the different Ethereum clients and the discussion about the consensus and so on. And he said, like, yeah, I'd love to do the introduction call. Okay, what are you going to talk about? I'm going to talk about what I don't like about Ethereum. And I was like, oh, okay. First time we organize a big conference like this, and the title speaker for the opening talk is like, what I don't like about Ethereum. And we decided to make it a renewing talk. Every year we would invite someone to talk about what I don't like about Ethereum, and unfortunately in 2020 we had some hiccups with COVID. We still managed to host the conference, but yeah, some people had to cancel, and we stopped this tradition. So Joseph reached out and said, like, hey, do you want to talk about this? I was like, well, okay, well, sure do. Let's do group therapy then. And funnily enough, when Rick accepted to do this talk, I was like, can you send the slides? He said, yeah, I sent the slides. Are you sure you sent the slides? Yeah, this is the slide. This space intentionally left blank. And we had Rick sitting there, blah, 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 ranting for 40 minutes about what he don't like about Ethereum. So two good news is I couldn't do it without slides. I could hardly do it, actually. It was really hard for me to think about really what I don't like about Ethereum. And also, looking back at what I produced today, in a sense that maybe I shouldn't have done slides because it would have been more impactful. But anyway, so if you don't want to watch Rick's talk, too bad. But if you do want to watch it, it's interesting. It tackles multiple cryptographic problems that we had to handle back there. A lot of critics about the problem of 256 bytes cryptography compared to the optimization that we have on arithmetics, usually in 64 bytes, and blah, 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 and problem with consensus, ASICs, and so on. Anyway, of course, since 2018, 2019, the Ethereum project grew to a level of magnitude and complexity that's nothing compared to what we had back then. Now we have these huge roadmaps, these huge milestones that we need to reach, and it's just to say, like, well, extremely hard to be aware of everything that's going on in the Ethereum ecosystem, to be relevant on being like, oh, but verify delay function, we're doing it wrong, it's bad in this sense. Oh, but if proving, we're doing it bad in this sense. Like now, we are at a stage of maturity where it is getting really hard to be relevant on multiple topics about the Ethereum ecosystem itself. Anyway, there is one thing I don't like about Ethereum. It's fucking hard to get testnet ETH. Yeah. It used to be not like this, and there are some testnet that are easy to reach. You can get easily some testnet here and there, but testnet ETH here and there, but most of the testnet that expose easy ETH on the testnets are testnets where you don't have good RPCs, it's hard to get connected to existing dApps because there is like discrepancies between the mainnet and the testnet. So yeah, good testnet ETH is hard to get. That's maybe the only technical critics I can say about Ethereum right now. Okay, let's go to the group therapy. 10 years of Ethereum. Mark it in your agenda. July the 30th. So looking back, we could have launched the mainnet in September or in October of the same year, or maybe in June of the same year. July the 30th is a bad date for a birthday. If you have kids and they are born in the summer, there are not going to be a lot of people coming to their birthday, unfortunately. So the birthday of Ethereum, we're gonna have trouble on organizing something that's like a big gathering in the 30th of July. But that's an example of something we could have done right, caring a bit more about our history. So one thing that we claimed a lot in the Ethereum ecosystem, or some of our thought leaders claim a lot, or visible people in the ecosystem claimed a lot, is that at Ethereum we have strong cultures and values. Strong cultures and values. Okay. So one thing you have to know, if you type Ethereum values on Google, the first result is the price of Ethereum. Yeah. That's a problem. If you okay, but what are the philosophical value, the values that Ethereum tried to convey, the value that Ethereum tried to put forward? We have anti-fragility, we have credible neutrality, we have kindness and respect, we have openness, we have all of those things that we try to put forward when something is wrong, when we are in a stress mode, like, hey, we are cultural values, like, don't hit us. But we barely celebrate our history, and we barely make examples and important points and important dates that we should remember that brought us to these values. So that's something that I don't like about Ethereum. We are missing the point on building up cultures and culturing the people that are coming in. But we have a lot of assets that we can tackle, that we can leverage for that. Here's what the competition is doing. The pizza day, yeah, and sometimes they even get an all-time high on the pizza day. So you have a dad, 2 kids, first transaction for real good. Hey, pizza day, easy. Easy, simple, not edgy, not too edgy, not too complex. Easy to celebrate in May, let's have pizzas. That's impactful. That's something that people can relate. Oh, you know Bitcoin? No, but you want a pizza? Oh yeah, let's have a pizza. Yeah, that's it, simple. Yet, at Ethereum, we have had a tremendous histories. Those 10 years, they give you gray hairs, for sure, but they are packed with a lot of impact, a lot of things we had to overcome, a lot of challenges we tackle, a lot of research hiccups we had to face. So here's a couple of examples of what we could do and to celebrate our history. For example, the Ether Lent. Okay, let's go give up on something, or let's do good between the DAO hack and the DAO fork. Let's celebrate the Library Day for the November 6th, where you accidentally killed it. Let's celebrate also complex, relentless research. For about 7 years, we tried to figure out how to do and implement proof of stake right. Just look at the difficulty bomb. This is really committing to your research, committing to doing something and to achieving something that you believe in, that is not implemented yet, that you don't know how to do it yet, but you want to do proof of stake right. So you commit on the September 7th of 2015, saying there will be a difficulty bomb. I must say that I'm not sure that every newcomer in the Ethereum ecosystem know about the difficulty bomb, but it was pretty stressful back then. Like the researchers at the EF and the external researchers were saying, hey, let's make sure that the network is not usable if we don't manage to ship the proof of stake. And then regularly accepting that you failed to deliver. You failed to deliver once, twice, blah, blah, blah. 6 times we have to push back the difficulty bomb to say like, hey, we need more time to implement proof of stake right. And finally, we send the difficulty bomb. That's the kind of example that we want to send. That's the kind of example that we want the new generation of Ethereum to learn of, and also the previous generation of Ethereum to continue telling the story that now that we have a huge roadmap to ship and way more ambition than it was to switch from proof of stake to proof of work to proof of stake, we need to remember that this is their history and this is the culture that can be built on top of this. So look at those 2 pictures. Which one do you think is going to be the most culturally impactful? Yeah, this is this one. This is Shanghai 2016, where the network was basically falling apart because of a mispricing of one of the opcodes. And what I don't like about Ethereum is that we celebrate this instead of that. This is CoreDev sitting down and rebooting the network. Not rebooting the network, actually, just fixing the network on the main client because Parity was still working and keeping the network alive. Yeah, this is rocket science, high-stake engineering, done live just before the opening talk of a conference. Yep. and not a team building where we get on stage and do some bonding and show that, hey, we can be edgy and hey, it's welcome, everybody can come and build on Ethereum. No, if you come and build on Ethereum, it's not always going to be blood, sweat, and tears, but we're going to have fun and we are going to tackle a hard problem. And you can be white, black, yellow, green, we don't care. Just come over and build something cool with us. In the recent conference I've been to, we were kind of losing, I think, on the stickers tradition. That's something we shouldn't leave at all. The stickers, we bear them as coat of arms on our computers, on our wall, on our books, on the notebooks, and so on. And these show how much of the history of Ethereum we've been through. So if you are at a company that is suggesting to bring some swag at the conference, start with the stickers. It's very important. Anyway, that's the kind of thing we should celebrate. That's the kind of thing I think are underappreciated about Ethereum. Years without downtime, 10. Yeah, it's cool to have a network, it's cool to have an EVM, it's cool to have multiple layers, it's cool, blah, 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 but yeah, what do we advertise? I don't like that we miss advertisement on such things. Like, we have no downtime. 10 years, no downtime. Change the core engine, no downtime. Years without accidents, many more. But still, no downtime, 10 years. That's what we celebrate. So for culture to emerge in our ecosystem, I don't like that we've been just throwing words and concepts like, hey, we are cypherpunks, hey, we are solarpunks, hey, we are anti-fragile. It can barely emerge from those inspirational concepts. Like when you meet someone that is, yeah, but why Ethereum? Oh, it's because we are solarpunks. Okay, I know about the Daft Punks, but the solarpunks? Yeah, okay, well, thank you, I'm out. Compared to showing what we've been through, showing the important dates, showcasing the different dates, showcasing the different things, this is what's going to bring the new generation together with the old ones and continue to convey the value and let an Ethereum culture emerge. So we did a few good things that we tried to impose to the market, that we work really hard on, that we tried to convey and communicate a lot on, and then we gave up on them. So that's something I really don't like. We gave up so far, maybe we'll pick it up again, we gave up on ultrasound money. So ultrasound money was something that was pretty hard to make resonate on the social media, on the different people talking about it. The Ethereum supply, at some point in time, started to decrease because of EIP 1559. And then we started to advertise less and less about this. It was a reaction to Bitcoin advertisement of, we are sound money, you know, there is a fixed supply. There's many things that are theoretically quite wrong or quite misunderstood about having a fixed supply, but yet in the ears of the layman, it's an easy meme. Oh, it's sound money. Yeah, it's sound money compared to all the other money. But what about Ethereum? Well, it's ultrasound money. Huh? Ultrasound? Yeah, this is powerful. This is way more powerful than we thought it would be. And it's super easily memeable. Look, the bat sign. Yeah. Ultrasound animals are really cool animals, including the dolphin for the flippening. And that we give up about ultrasound money so far. This is something we will be dearly missing if we don't revive, and that we should revive. And I really don't like that we gave up on this, because we invested a lot on bringing it in, and it's actually something really great about Ethereum. It can be ultrasound, and it should be and should remain ultrasound, because it's the easy way to bring people in. Hey, it's ultrasound. And then you start digging, and then you start understanding what's it about Ethereum. Of course, along the years, we saw heavily VC invested, heavily marketed generations of layer ones of alternative blockchain that were branded as Ethereum killers. Well, something that will be really bad for Ethereum is that at some point, perhaps, a new project won't brand themselves anymore about being ETH killers. Like when we stop to be relevant as something to kill, something to overcome, we stop losing traction. Imagine something that will be like, hey, we are the Solana killers. Wow, what about ETH killers? No, we don't care about ETH, it's not relevant anymore. We are going to kill Solana. Well, You want to be at some point so big, so powerful, so efficient that nobody wants even to compare to you. It's mesmerizing that new project can just advertise themselves like, we're not even live, we had many downtimes, and like, oh, we are barely live, and we are ETH killers. So naturally, in the early days of Ethereum, when we saw the first generation of ETH killers, we were like, yeah, ETH killers? Okay, why not? Try to have a good coding language for your VM, try to do something better on the consensus first, and then a second generation, and then a third generation, and a fourth one, and a fifth one. And while we were ignoring them, those new projects were slowly occupying the rest of the market, or the niche of the market that we weren't touching. And when the market started to slow down, when traction started to manifest differently between projects, we realized that they were also here to show us a lesson. So we missed a lot of opportunities due to our positioning regarding ETH killers, due to our ignorance of what they were doing right and what we should have done better. For example, the shipping of 4844 was really expected and really important for the network. And when it was shipped, suddenly we lost ultrasoundness of Ethereum. We started to pop the question of L2 sustainability. Well, indeed, L2s were pretty expensive to run if you had to push your data directly on-chain. But now that you have blobs, people started to say, hey, but what about the value capture? Missing out about the narratives on value capture is a huge mistake. It's something I don't even understand how we missed that before we shipped 4844. And then we gave crack cocaine to all the spin doctors to say like, hey, Ethereum is worthless. Look, no network effect, no nothing. Hey, it's going to the ground. And that's part of why I don't like about us ignoring the ETH killers. We need to look at the counter-argument they bring, the thing they say about us that is wrong, and try to overcome them, try to shape the narrative, try to answer that, and not ignore it at all. Because every time we ignore it, we are showing the back and getting stabbed. And this is really bad for us as an ecosystem and us as an attraction for third parties and newcomers. Because the first contact with ETH, it doesn't happen anymore with a proof of work miner. It happens with a chart on a centralized exchange. Anyone that has started a retail-oriented project, whether it is an NFT thing, a gaming thing, or a universal basic income thing, can tell you this hard truth. When the price is down, it costs you 100x, 1000x more to acquire new customers. Simple. At least keep the charts stable, and if possible, give it a little bit of green. Otherwise, people will say like, hey, it's red. I'm not going to go this direction. What amazed me as an organizer of meetups in France, that the population that we see in the meetup completely changed after the proof of stake. People were not coming anymore to say like, hey, I want to set up a miner to earn some ETH, and then you saw those guys coming again and again and again in the different meetups. Now that when people want to build on top of Ethereum, they first have to get testnet ETH, which is hard, and then because the testnet ETH asks you to be active on Ethereum to give you ETH sometimes, and their first contact with it is just to buy ETH. So that's something we cannot ignore anymore. We cannot ignore the price narrative on Ethereum because this is the first contact of newcomers for Ethereum. They will be like, hey, I want to go on this blockchain, but what does the native token look like? Oh, it looks pretty bad. Yeah, no thank you. Back in the days, you could just mine ETH, and then you had some ETH, and then you wonder what you could do with your ETH, and then you started to build something or meet people that are in the Ethereum ecosystem. And that was really powerful as an acquisition tool. Now we have not as good acquisition, and we have also to deal with the fact that the entry point is a centralized exchange. And now onto the credible neutrality thing. I don't like credible neutrality. I think it's extremely important for us to stay credibly neutral because this is one of the things that differentiates us from the rest of the ecosystem. Nevertheless, we can apply credible neutrality in times of real politics. Ignoring and not dipping our toes at all with political organization, with governments, with institutions, leaving the door open to many different actors. That's typically the kind of niche that the Ethereum killers started to occupy. If you ever wonder why you see a PR in the big press saying, hey, the euro stablecoin from the European Central Bank is going to be built on IBM Hyperledger, like, what? IBM Hyperledger? Yeah. Why? Well, because those guys occupy the seats. They come, they sit down, they talk with the regulators, they talk with the institutions, and they are not afraid to show up. And at the same time, they say, but the Ethereum Foundation is not showing up. And what is the Ethereum Foundation doing instead? And I don't like it. The Ethereum Foundation is giving the flag to an external organization, saying the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance will do it, saying a private company, maybe Etherealize will do it, and send them with the flag to talk to those institutions. And the reflex of these institutions and ETH killers is to say, well, the foundation is not talking to you. Look, all the foundation are here. We are neutral. We are here to help. We're here to help. And those guys, they're not the foundation. The foundation doesn't care. So the tempo and the rule have been set up against us when it comes to institutional adoption. And this is something we have to counter. We have to acknowledge and we have to act on it. Otherwise, we won't be able to do anything top-down. And not doing anything top-down and fighting for the bottom-up is going to be an uphill battle. And I don't think we should ever consider being in this situation anymore. Finally, one of the things I really don't like about Ethereum is that we make a bad show. We make clones of ourselves on social media. It's not news to anyone that the social media landscape evolved a lot with the arrival of Elon Musk at Twitter. Suddenly, a platform which was really hard to get a blue tick. Now you have a paid blue tick and a gold tick if you pay even more. There is little to no moderation. There is a lot of bots and so on. So the very relevance of Twitter for someone that is looking at this with a few steps, looking at this from afar is like, hey, Twitter is a shit show, so I shouldn't be on Twitter. But the fact is that Twitter has such a network effect and such still a presence among the press makes it something that we shouldn't abandon. So many people reacted in the community in the changes on Twitter by saying like, hey, I'm just going to leave. It's just too much negativity in this. And not fighting the negativity and leaving Twitter is leaving an open space for the competition of Ethereum. Now when you post something on Ethereum, it feels like you are just being taken down by the algorithm. And at the same time, when we saw that Twitter was less and less relevant as an echo chamber for Ethereum, what we did is create Ethereum-based Twitter alternatives. So some of us started to migrate on Lens, some of us started to migrate on Farcaster and so on. So we basically left the battlefield saying like, hey, we don't want to be in this battle. At the same time, those places were occupied by people actively dumping on ETH. So we are not owning the narrative anymore, and I really don't like it. We are not even fighting those battles by saying like, hey, what you're saying is false. Ethereum is not like that. Ethereum is a world computer that never rebooted. Ethereum is ultrasound money. Ethereum is not like this. We are reacting this way. And sometimes also we end up in civil wars. And those civil wars really, 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 really hurt us a lot. So this is the end of our childhood, and at the same time, the end of our teenage years. We have to realize that we should care about the narrative, we should care about our history, we should care more about our culture, and we have all the assets to leverage and achieve that. So this was what I don't like about Ethereum, and I hope you liked it, and you shared some of those points. If you want to chat and have more Ethereum Friends stickers, you can find me outside. Thank you, everyone.